That's a classic doorbell sound. Ding, ding, dong, dong. What can I say about Christian Pisasale? Christian is 1/3 of the comedy podcast Welcome to Patchwork, or Welcome to Patchwork, also known as the sensible one of the three. This podcast is my happy place. I put it on my way home from work, settle in, laugh for a little bit, and then just yell because I can't believe some of the absolute rubbish that is coming out of Josh and Dion's mouths. Christian, you are the voice of reason. Christian and I have known each other for 12 or 13 years now. We actually met on the set of a friend's Channel 31 TV show where Christian was a stressed out shopping centre manager and I was a strung out heroin addicted kids performer who was dressed up as a bear. And honestly, it was love at first sight. I love the way Christian's mind works. He's one of my closest friends and he's such a funny dude. Enjoy this episode as Christian Pisasale cooks.
Oh, thank you. Oh my God, it's so beautiful.
I thought I'd just bring some Prosecco.
Yeah.
It's hot.
It's organic and it's biologic.
I wonder what that means. In fact, before you've as we're talking,
Yes.
we've maintained eye contact this entire time. As you've gone and put the chopping board out,
Yes.
you've put a tea towel under the chopping board, which I want to get to.
Yep. Sure.
You've got yourself an onion and a knife.
Yep.
And then you've continued holding eye contact as you were about to start chopping up
I
the
was,
onion.
and then I realised that I should probably pause so you can actually tell me.
And there's a heap of veggies over there, and
Yep.
I'm assuming this is everything that's going into this meal. But what I need to know, first of all, Christian,
Yes.
is
Yes.
what are you cooking for me today?
James, today I'm cooking lenticchie.
That means lenticular
Yes,
card. Is that a collectible
correct.
card? Is
It's
that right?
lenticchie. Lenticchie is it's an Italian soup with a base of lentils, so lentil soup. Very the beautiful thing I think about this particular dish is, as you'll recognise from the ingredients you see in front of you, celery, carrot, onion. It's got a sofrito base. So
What's sofrito?
sofrito is, which you will be people. The thing is that people don't realise with Italian cooking, there's a lot of stuff that starts with a sofrito base, which is fry up a bit of chopped celery, carrot, and onion.
Is that
That's
like
your
what would go
fundamental
into like a
start.
bolognese?
Bolognese, minestrone, lenticchie, sometimes risotto, right? You've got this sofrito base that they're just pounding shit on top of and just changing what the meal is in the end.
Okay, and so with that,
Yes.
the celery, right? So with some risotto that I've made,
Yep.
the instructions have been to start with just the heart of the celery.
Wow.
That deep
Yeah.
yellow stuff inside.
You pull the whole celery out, still beating in your hands. Please, but no!
Is that, are you putting just that part in? Or are you using the whole celery or?
Good question. So what I like to do, which I'm pretty sure other Italian families do it as well, is I like to, nose to tail. I really like using the celery leaves.
Well, you
as
are
well.
vegan, so this is
exactly
nose to
right.
tail
This is the
celery.
closest I get. I really like using celery leaves because I think they add a lot of flavour to the broth itself, similar to parsley, spinach, celery, gives it that leafy texture also. I really like having that kind of texture added to the lenticchie as well. But yeah, celery leaves are my little hidden gem that I'll dice up. And people are like, oh, it's just all parsley. And you're like, yeah, but you get that extra veggie kind of hit.
Nice.
Flavour to the broth. Yeah, so I'll go nose to tail on this. Use just the stalk as you would. Chop, 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 in it goes. That's the thing. When a recipe calls for the heart of celery, that's not a traditional recipe. That's not a traditional Italian dish. No Italian is going to be just use the heart of the celery. They're because you don't think. You're not thinking, what part of this am I using? That's too much thought already. It's just celery is in this dish, carrot is in this dish, chop it, pop it in. That's it. You're not going, oh, only this particular part of the celery should be used.
Is there an element of use everything in that thinking? Or because Italian,
Especially Southern Italian cooking.
Okay, because Italian cooking is so varied from region to region and
Correct.
town to town.
Yes.
And everyone is so adamant that their way is the right way. Like, it's very prescriptive.
Yes. Yeah.
So, but beyond that, I basically have no idea. So you could be saying, use the leftmost stalk of celery.
Don't you touch that right.
That's right.
It has to be facing north while you chop it.
And I'd be thinking, oh, this is the real deal.
Yes, I know. Well, I don't think that there's that kind of, it's interesting because, yes, Italians have a very, very, they're rigid when it comes to the preparation of things. Like, you'll see pizzaioli, like traditional pizzaioli, the people who get a certificate to say you can make pizza, right? It's like a traditional sushi maker. It's the same respect in Japan where it's like you do 10 years of training. They're not doing 10 years of training, but they treat them with the same respect. It's like, no. We have a very specific way that we do this. But I think when it comes to the ingredients, as long as it's fresh, right? Quality, people taste the produce. That's why it's so much. My nonna will always, she'll eat something and she'll say, the tomato's not right in this. She can taste a store-bought tomato from a homegrown tomato in a dish, cooked into a dish.
Really?
She can taste it. She's amazing. Her palate's crazy. And she doesn't think in terms of palate. This is fresh, this is not. It's just that doesn't taste the way it should taste.
I just love that there is right and wrong. There's should and should not.
Yes.
It sounds really like fussy.
It's a respect.
Well, there's such confidence in that as well, though.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
This is not right.
Italians are very confident with their cooking. They think, this is the thing, like, I think Italians believe that Italian cuisine, like proper Italians believe Italian cuisine is the best cuisine. So they eat their own food, from my experience. There's very rarely branching out to other cuisines. Like, you go visit Italy, there's Italian food, what we think Italian food, everywhere, right? It's not like you come here and there's just a mixed bag of everything. Italians like eating their own food because they think it's the best.
Because it is.
But it's great for what it is, but it's not the best. It's just its thing. And they have a consistent flavor. You know when you're getting Italian food because they don't move. There's no the framework is in place.
I had this similar feeling, the way that you expressed that about there is so much Italian food in Italy.
Yeah.
I had the same feeling when I first went to Japan. That
So
I was
much
blown away.
Wow, what realizations we're having.
I remember talking to people, and it was mainly sort of people who weren't really into food heaps, maybe, who looked at me like, no shit. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. But I was more like, no, it's very monocultural.
Yes.
And they love their food so much and know so much about it. And why would you branch out? Because it is... I think Japanese and Italian are the two best countries on earth.
I've heard so many
food.
people say that they're like, I will have, especially you. When I say so many people, I mean mainly you. That Italian, it's like the purists of food enjoy Italian and Japanese cuisine.
Why do you reckon that is?
Because it's unapologetically itself and doesn't waver from that. You know, you're not going to see an Italian be like, this is maybe a traditional Italian. You're not going to see them go, well, I've kind of mixed in a German kraut here, like a little,
Okay, so you're chucking the onions into your pan.
Yes. So I've got a big saucepan on the go because I want to make enough that I'm going to have some leftovers for work. And I've put some olive oil in there and I've also chopped some onion. But yeah, so this is, we're starting off, we're going to start to get that really beautiful aroma through the house.
Once the pot goes on the stove with onion and olive oil in there, that smell, if you walk into a house with that or you're sitting on the side of the room, there is something about that smell that it takes you somewhere.
There was like that it takes me to, again, Nonna's place. There were these moments where we would be taken to Nonna's to visit her, right, as kids, and you'd step through the door and you'd be like, yes, it's this today. You'd be like, oh, it's verdura. Oh, she's made peperonata. And you smell it from the door. Oh, there's a sugo on the go. Sometimes I walk down streets, old, like we see the old brick houses owned by like Italians, Greeks and all this, and you smell it walking past. And you're like, how did they make something so potent? They're like their own version of Subway. You walk past, you're like, oh, yeah. Have you over time found that you have been drawn to Italian cooking for its simplicity or for its flavor? Because they're simple things to cook, right?
I feel like they're deceivingly simple.
Yeah.
But I'll answer your question. I'm drawn to it because I grew up with a lot of Italian food.
Yeah.
But it would be probably quite anglicised versions of Italian food.
Yes, okay.
But Italian food has always been something in my life just because I've been around a lot of Italian people growing up.
Yeah.
So many of my friends growing up at primary school and high school were Italian families.
Yep.
So I kind of feel like it's baked in, probably like in terms of like sensory memories.
Yes.
Of Italian food cooking at like my friends' houses.
Well, it's one of the best things about you as a person is that you crave the experience of different cultures. It's whatever the culture is, you want to invest wholly in that culture.
Oh yeah, I'm seeing that. What did you call this? That you're
Sofrito.
That starts with? Sofrito.
Yeah,
Okay.
the sofrito. All that says, all sofrito is the frying off of the carrot, the celery, and the onion in olive oil.
And they're actually chopped quite large.
Yes, so
which
this
I'm
is.
surprised
I like my minestrone, lenticchie. I like them all to be quite chunky. Because especially like if you want to reduce the amount of pasta that you're putting in at the end, I want it to be like a chunky soup.
Whereas for something like if you're making a sugo,
Yes.
would you be chopping it really, really fine?
Yeah. For a bolognese for sure.
All right. Was creating food from scratch, was this something that you did as a family?
I feel like we've been serious for a little while. Can I just get you to say scratchings? I feel like this just give me a little scratchings and then go on to what you're saying.
Let's see if this peaks.
Scratchings! Scratchings!
Easily one of the top 5 things that you do.
What is it about scratchings that really tickles your fancy?
I think it's just I can imagine the character. And I think when you first did it, it was about pork scratchings and we almost fleshed out the character at the time. So I still have that visual and now I just need the
Scratchings!
by the way, I'll just take you through. I'm putting some cracked pepper and some salt now that all the sofrito's frying off. And I put a lot of pepper.
I'm going to put this one out there. The idea of cooking with the seasoning at the time,
Oh, yeah.
something I did not realise was a thing.
Oh, yeah. I like to flavour the oil.
Unbelievable.
Absolutely.
I
And
always
that's why I
thought
put
it
my
was-
chili in at this point as well.
Oh, Jesus.
Fry off, because if you fry the chili, it makes it hotter. You intensify the flavour.
Goodbye, bumhole.
Yeah, I put quite a bit in.
You're listening to Cooks. We'll be right back to Christian's Kitchen in just a second. Christian's Kitchen. It's quite a difficult thing to say. Christian's Kitchen. We'll be right back to Christian's Kitchen in a second. If you're enjoying Cooks, you might consider supporting the show on Patreon. The benefits are twofold. It unlocks bonus audio. You will receive your very own secret podcast for Patreons only. And it also gives you the nice warm and fuzzies to know that you're supporting the show. Christian Pisasale is, of course, 1/3 of the comedy podcast Welcome to Patchwork. I am a massive, massive fan. You probably are too. And if you're not, to be honest, if you got this far in my podcast, you are bound to become a fan of Welcome to Patchwork. Okay, back to the show. Why do you think people connect with Welcome to Patchwork? Why do you think it's hit a chord?
So the feedback that we've had is that, one, it's like listening to 3 friends have a conversation, which we really love because it is an improvised show. So hit record to see what happens for the most part. But also, it's vocalizing the inner thoughts of most people. We're hoping, because the 3 of us have very, very different personalities. And so often you will be able to side with one of us, go on this particular topic on how many pairs of underwear do you pack when you're going on holiday. I'm more of a Christian. I overpack underwear, right? If you're bringing a bag of chips to a party, can you take that bag of chips home if it's not been eaten? And then that will consume 25, 30 minutes.
Which I think is the amount of time that these conversations should consume.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And so whatever it might be, do you sign the back of your credit card? Silly things like that. You'll pick a side because you've thought about it. You look at the credit card and you go, I wonder why that needs a signature. Do I really have to? No one ever questions me on whether this has a signature or not. It needs to be talked about. Someone needs to talk about this.
I think I side with you a good 98% of the time.
Yeah.
And
As I think most sane folks might. Sometimes I feel like the dad and the mum.
And there's sort of like Dion and Josh's approaches to things. I'm like, wow, never thought of it from that perspective.
Yeah.
I think Josh is willing to just be like, nah, mate, this is how I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
I think Dion is a bit of that, but is also like, oh God, maybe I'm getting it wrong my whole life.
That's it. I think Dion has the bravado of someone who's sure about everything up until the point that he realizes that two other people don't do exactly what he does. And then he has that moment of pause where he goes, wait a second. wait a second. What are you saying? Whereas Josh is unflappable.
Yeah.
He has made, the calculations are precise. Every single decision in his life is made with a clear reason, and he won't waver from that.
Yeah.
And I think we fight quite a bit because he's almost robotic in that he thinks to himself, well, what do I want out of this situation? Whereas I was raised to think, well, what do the others in this situation want out of me?
What's the expectation?
What is the expectation of me in this situation? Yeah. How do I please the people around me at my own expense?
You wouldn't happen to have been raised in a Catholic family, would you?
I don't know. Maybe an Italian Catholic family, maybe.
One thing, I've just had this flashback actually about your family.
Yeah.
This is years and years and years ago.
Yeah. Right now I'm rinsing the lentils.
Oh, lovely.
That's the water.
Hang
that's
on.
the water.
Why do we'll park my memory for a moment, but why do you rinse the lentils?
This is the shit thing about being recorded is that when you say something, it lives now in perpetuity. So someone can re-listen to it and go, geez, that guy's an idiot. I think of it the same way as rice, where you're washing away those starches. It's going to stop it from being gloopy when you cook it.
Gloopy is a great word.
It's the only word. But I think it's that, but I don't know. Maybe I'm rinsing off the shells. Sometimes things are just for habit, and you can fucking deal with that.
All right, so I need to tell you this memory, which is, for some reason, years and years and years ago, I made some marinated mushrooms.
Yes.
And I brought some over for you.
Oh.
This is back, like, you were still living at home, left it there.
Yeah.
Next time I came back, your mum was home and your nonna was there.
Yeah.
And your nonna said something from the corner of the room in Italian. And I asked what he'd said. Yeah. And your mum said, he said that the mushrooms that you made remind him of the war.
Jesus Christ, what the hell?
And to this day...
It reminds me of shrapnel in his stomach.
That's precisely it. To this day, I don't know if that was a compliment or an insult. It reminds me of, it's like, it reminds me of my hometown, which is or it reminds me of starvation and deprivation and the shit that we had to eat in order to survive.
I am like, those moments live so firmly in your mind. Like, you have so many great memories of like, and this person said this about food or my cooking, and it's so nice. But nonnal definitely would amend, because preserving, curing, all that stuff is such an enormous part of like our family, because Southern Italians, right? Make things last. It would have been an enormous compliment to say, that reminds me of a time where we had to do this with our mushrooms to make them last.
Would it?
Yeah. This reminds me, the way that my belly reacted after eating your mushrooms reminds me of the war.
That's when I had dysentery.
This is what I love about my nonnal, is that since we were born, his reaction to my nonna's cooking is, I don't like this food. I don't like this food. And he'll eat it like a goddamn pig all the time because he's obsessed with it. But actually, one of my favourite memories of my nonnal was when he said to me he was getting depressed because his best friend at the time had confided in him that he eats pasta asciutta, which is like a sugo, like very classic red sauce dry pasta, right? Eats that every night. His wife cooks it for him every night. And Nonno had asked Nonna if she could do the same, and she said no. So he was all depressed because he couldn't eat pasta asciutta every night. He's like, if Compare Anello can eat pasta asciutta every night, why can't I? But what a testament to that dish, right? Honestly, like I think that if I could eat pasta every day, I would.
Absolutely. What are we doing now? You got the kettle on?
So kettle is on. I'm boiling some water because that's gonna end up being the stock. Mm-hmm. I am currently preparing. So because I am vegan, I think it's very important to get as much flavor as you can into the meals that gives it I feel like this is a real buzzword at the moment. Umami. the umami in there.
Bit of mums, get a bit of mums happening.
By adding in I've got thyme, fresh oregano, fresh bay leaves, and fresh rosemary.
Sorry, can you just say that second one again?
Oregano.
Oh my God.
Thank you. It actually, when you cook it down with the lentils, it's super meaty. Like, really has a flavor like a meat pie. For me, this is since Christmas since last year. When I went over to my auntie's place, who was hosting Christmas, she made a brodo, like a traditional chicken soup, Italian chicken soup with tortellini for the whole family. But for my partner and I, for Em and I, she made lenticchie, and I hadn't had it for years. But she made it the old school way, and both Emma and I looked at each other and were like, what the fuck is going on here? This is so good as our entree. And it just, in my mind, it clicked with me. I was like, why haven't I been making this? So this year, I have made this at least 30 times. It's been almost every week I've made lenticchie.
Now, where are we at?
We're about to put the pasta in. Oh, let's pop your boy. You want to pop the boy? I'd love to.
But, yeah.
It's a celebration. It's cooks.
Yeah.
We're celebrating. I know these aren't the right glasses.
I actually love drinking sparkling wine out of wine glasses.
Okay, perfect.
I saw it done once.
Will you hate if I have mine out of this then?
Out of a tumbler. I would love you to have out of a tumbler.
Because that's all I drink wine out of. I hate drinking wine out of the stem, right? Why would you drink out of something so precious, so delicate?
Because the wine is precious and delicate.
It's the receptacle is still glass.
I feel like, so drinking a table wine I feel like if the food is Italian or Greek, then I love drinking out of a tumbler.
Yep.
If the wine...
Because you're happy to disrespect the wine.
That's right. No, there's something about that match. But if it's a table wine, the wine can be treated accordingly.
Yep.
But if it's a wine that's got a little bit more buzz, if there's something happening,
you want to drink it out of a proper glass.
I would need it out of a proper glass, and that goes for it. Doesn't matter what the cuisine is. I also feel after this makes no sense whatsoever.
Please.
But after I've been out for an Italian meal, I feel like finishing with an espresso.
Oh, yeah.
Every time.
Yeah.
And you know what? If I have any other type of food and then have an espresso at night, I can't sleep.
Yeah.
If I have Italian food, finish with espresso, straight to sleep,
Sleep
babes.
better.
Yeah.
Sleep better. Something happens.
Crazy.
I know. Doesn't make any sense. My question to you, as someone who doesn't drink a lot of Prosecco, you bring the bottle over. Is it my responsibility to open this for you? Or as the person who brought the wine, are you supposed to pop it for me? What's the proper etiquette?
Oh, this is great. I think that once the bottle of sparkling has proceeded beyond the threshold of the front door, it becomes a responsibility of the homeowner.
Okay. To be honest, my instinct is that I should be opening it for you, but I should make a scene about it.
Oh, absolutely. Oh,
so
absolutely.
like I did, I said, let's open your, okay, so number one, acknowledge that it's yours.
Yeah.
And that you brought it, and then we should have it as a celebration.
That's
and what are we celebrating? Cooks. I also love the feeling of opening a Prosecco, and I kind of think that as the homeowner, I want to be involved in the production of opening it. I don't want to see someone else take that.
It's my
flair.
Do you just cut your finger on the
Like I said,
foil?
I haven't done this much before, and I'm bleeding to
Christian,
death.
you're bleeding profusely.
I just want to let's get this clean.
Oh, yeah. And can you now open the bottle of Prosecco, Christian?
Thank you very much. Cheers.
Cheers.
Good to have you here.
That's Prosecco.
It's
Definitely a bottle of Prosecco.
that is biologique, mate. I love that. I don't drink anywhere near enough Prosecco, and I really love the flavour of that. That's nice. It's not the bitter Prosecco that I remember when I worked at the Veneto Club.
Right. It's really dry, but there's a tiny little sweet boy somewhere in there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
This guy's ripe and ready.
Oh, baby. Let's have a look. Oh, wow. Okay. So I can see a couple of, it's quite a brown,
James, come back to the kitchen.
it's quite, it looks like a minestrone,
Yeah.
but with lentils in it.
That's basically what it is, but with the additional herbs in there.
And nice and chunky.
Oh, yeah.
I see what you mean about doing the carrots and the celery real chunky.
Yeah.
It looks really pretty. And a couple of the bay leaves in there. Question for you.
Yes.
What do bay leaves do?
They've got a flavour. They've got a very specific flavour.
Is it subtle? Or is it because I used to have bay trees at home.
Yeah.
Used to cook with them constantly.
Yeah.
Used to get my...
Weren't sure?
No idea. I just put them in. I just put them because I'm like, it probably needs a bay leaf.
You know what you should do? Cook yourself a broth. One broth going at the exact same time, one with bay leaves, one without, and taste them. Mm-hmm. See whether you can tell the difference. Because I certainly can't.
Oh, and look at this. Look at you've plated this up absolutely beautifully. You have bowled it up beautifully. Wowee.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers. Thank you so
Very
much,
welcome.
Christian,
Thank you for having me on.
What's the pasta?
So I think the Italian word is ditali, I think. Ditale, maybe. They're basically just your macaroni style, like small little boys.
Oh, yeah, baby.
I'll tell you the exact one if anyone... Great. This packet just calls them the classic. Very helpful.
That is absolutely beautiful.
Thanks, mate.
Lovely and earthy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah? Oh, my
It's real.
God.
It tastes like soil.
Is it the dirt that you put in there? Mm-hmm. That's right. Yeah, and really definitely thicker than a soup.
Yes. Almost like a gravy.
Sorry?
Almost like a gravy. That's what I love about it is if you cook this down further without the pasta and blitzed it, I can imagine it forming the gravy for a meat pie. That in my head.
Great.
See that meatiness, that real kind of thick, creamy.
I mean, this is a perfect place for us to bring this to a close. This has been absolute goddamn joy.
Thank you.
Really appreciate you taking the time to cook for me.
It's been a wonderful experience for me as well because I get to cook for someone who I know I get to appreciate it. The funniest thing is that we've conditioned ourselves both that we're both going to be as flatulent and gassy in front of one another that you just have to power on with the conversation.
This has been so lovely.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for cooking for me.
You're welcome.
We now got to gobble this up. Oh my God. Thanks so much. Now fuck off.
That's Cooks. Thanks for listening.
Oh,
It's like the Oprah Winfrey. Madonna!